Well, kids, it's time to roll for another party because you've all been wiped. It is the XPQuest podcast. Hey, we're having a fantastic night so far. We're just winging this again because we don't believe in show notes. Isn't that right?
That's pretty much it.
That's the spirit of the
fast and loose.
Fast and loose. You know, I'm trying to do this show exactly how I played this game that we're featuring tonight, and it didn't end well for the game. So I'm hoping the podcast goes a little better.
Well,
so
the game we're supposed to be trying to play was Ultima 3, and I must admit I hit a brick wall myself and got distracted by Might and Magic 1.
Of which I was like, you know what? If we would have the idea midweek, I would have totally done it with you. But I persisted on with the Ultima 3. So I want to send a shout out to all our listeners out there. Somehow we've made it to episode 10. So thank you, Ray. Cheers to you.
Thank you.
So tonight, in honor of Ultima, I'm drinking a chalice of Guinness. Like I had to go find like a chalice-like cup. You know, it's what Lord British would want, really.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
So we're streaming live. God, it's July 28th, 2016. And of course, tonight's show topic is Ultima 3 Exodus. So
or old games.
Yeah, or old games. Yeah. Ultima 3 Exodus or old games.
More particularly, probably old RPGs.
You know, I still think we should go back and do another show where we just go deep diving into some of these other ones, because the Might and Magic series just that was where my heart was. That really was where my heart was. Like, I never owned Ultima growing up, but I knew I had a friend that played it on their Apple IIc.
Yep.
And I just sat there and just because I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. So I right off the bat, Ultima Exodus, it is the third game in the Ultima series. Exodus is also the name of the game's principal antagonist. It was released in 1983, and it was the first Ultima game published by Origin Systems, originally developed for the aforementioned Apple II. Exodus was eventually ported to 13 other platforms, including NES, Famicom Remake. So how did you play this game?
That would have been on the Commodore 64.
Okay. And this time around, where did you play? Like a Commodore?
I wish.
On a port?
It probably would have been better. No, I actually pulled it up on GOG as one of their emulators. So whatever version they've emulated, didn't ring a bell with me, unfortunately. Yeah.
GOG plays it in a pre-made DOS box, so it's running the MS-DOS version. So it's very, very kludgy graphics. And it was a system shock to myself when I was just like, we dove back into this game. I'm like, yes, and it fired up on my 27-inch monitor in full screen and widescreen, and I'm like, oh, like I just like.
And the
it was like staring into the sun.
And the blaring music.
Oh yeah, the music and the sound effects. The sound effects are like, what? Like, they don't even make sense. But I mean, was the sound effects basically intended to run through the computer PC speaker? You know how old computers used to have like a little tiny speaker inside them?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I think it was back in the actually, I don't know when they actually got rid of those speakers, whether it was in the XT or AT days. I'm trying to remember when sound cards came into the fore. I think that was somewhere around the 286, 386, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, because I remember when I started building like my first like 386-ish kind of a computer, they had devolved down to the speaker being just like a little buzzer kind of a thing. It just made like beep sound, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first time I saw this game, of course, was at my friend's house on his Apple IIc, the consumer version. And it was just pure green screen, right? The Apple IIc, I don't believe his had color, so it was just green and black. And God, but at the time, when you look at the games that were comparable to it, this is 83, right? The few games that we had on the Texas Instrument 99 4A that we grew up with were horrible compared to this thing. This thing was just mind blowing. Whoa! Look at that! Look at the level, And then now you play it today, and you're like, wow, this does not age well. But the thing that I had completely forgotten about was how crazy in depth the game was. Like on the surface, it looks so basic, right? And yeah, we're gonna get Drac in here. Drac's gonna get on here. He's gonna join our Discord page here. Send that guy an invite. Basically, the customization, I guess, on the surface is just unbelievable, because it doesn't even seem like it right from the get-go, because you're just like, okay, the character creation is so basic, and it's confusing as all hell. And I spent like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to start the game, and then finally I was like, just to hell with this. I went and found the manual, like, which is a quest in itself. And yeah, like on page 36 of the manual is how to create a person, right?
Yeah, the actual manual for Ultima 3 was a little vague.
Yeah. But you could tell though it was like a scanned printed manual. Like they did it that way back in the day. Kids these days have no idea how fun it was to read a paper manual. So
okay, we actually have a guest.
Ooh.
Yeah,
invite him in.
I think I'll just have to verbally. I can't click and drag because I'm not actually the admin of the.
Oh, I could do that.
Oh, there you go.
Do you have a microphone guest?
Yes, I do.
Woohoo! Introduce yourself.
I am Supapa.
Supapa. I love that. So this is a PG show, so watch your goddamn mouth. Or something.
Yeah, keep it above belt, if possible.
So what's your experience with Ultima 3?
I've never played any of the Ultima games.
This is the best guest you've ever invited on, Ray.
Hey, it's better than that. But I'm sure Supapa's got a history.
I had been playing console games since the late 80s. I got into PC in the last few years, outside of WoW and a few outliers.
Okay. So maybe you'll have a little bit more experience when we get later on into like the Might and Magic-y sort of stuff, correct?
I never actually played this series either.
So what was on the consoles back then anyway?
There wasn't consoles. I mean, would you consider the Commodore 64 a console, really?
Not really, no.
Yeah. Like if it had a keyboard, it wasn't considered a console.
No, actually, no. I actually, Commodore 64 you could almost call a console because it had a cartridge.
It did, but so did I grew up with the TI, right? The Texas Instrument, and that had the games for it were awesome, but it was like Atari-ish games. Like there was zero text, It was just straight up pixel graphics and the response, and there was a joystick, but the response was horrible. it was bad.
Yeah, but with the Commodore 64, even I'm not sure if joysticks came out with that until a few years later, but I don't remember having one. At that stage.
So the thing that really actually impressed me about this game was like I said before, I grew up loving the Dragon Quest stuff. I love that art style, the simplistic 8-bit graphics, right? And when I played this game, it was like, okay, I could see the systems there, right? I could probably get into it, but the the interface was killing me playing it through DOSBox. So I was about to completely give up on this game, and then I saw on the Wikipedia page that there was a NES version, and I'm like, oh yeah, dummy, I actually have this on a cart, like across the basement. I'm like, but I figured it out like too late. I'm like, work took over and I couldn't have enough time to play it. So, boo.
Yeah, my little foray with the Ultimate, it got me realizing how real time the game was for something back then.
Oh yeah. Because there's like wait cycles and like something as stupid as like the moon phases was in this game, right? Like in the NES Dragon Warrior series, that wasn't even added until I believe the second game. So it was the second or third one, which was like 1990-ish, you know? So it was like 10 years ahead of its time in some of the various features. The thing that really threw me off, I guess right from the get-go, of course, was unless you actually have played an Ultima game before and know about it, the combat and I mean the everything, just simply talking to somebody, interacting with NPCs is not intuitive. There is zero tutorial. It just dumps you right into a castle, no idea what the quest is. Actually, it dumps you outside of a castle. Like it doesn't even put you in the. It doesn't even put you like next to some guy to say, "Hey, come here."
Or how to get into castle.
Exactly. That's right. You have to go over and hit the E to enter. But unless you've literally read the manual and sort of memorized all of the various keyboard commands, you know, which are basically like one letter, you know, E for enter, A for attack, whatever, you know, the game is just brutal. And they just don't do that anymore. And I think that's where a lot of the games these days, I think somebody needs to make a game like this where it's just brutally honest, you know?
Well, I don't know how bad Legend of Grimrock was because I didn't. Well, I have it, but I never really got into it as much because I really should have, due to the fact that I actually was one of the, I suppose, people that did play Eye of the Beholder back in the day when it first came out. We had a computer science teacher which, on all the ATs that they had at the high school, had loaded up Eye of the Beholder on every single AT that was there, and us, I don't know, what do we call ourselves, nerds or geeks? I can't remember which one it was. But we'd spend our lunch hours in there just playing away with the Eye of the Beholder. It's just ridiculous.
Eye of the Beholder was so good.
I have played some Grimrock. Got a couple floors in. I had one of those weird things where my other computer was so slow that I couldn't actually complete one of the puzzles on the graphics as I was playing it. I had to lower them to complete one of the puzzles, and then raise it back up for the other one.
Yeah, okay, so I played a significant amount. I think I probably got maybe halfway through it is what I'm guessing, right? By no ways am I good at the game, but I think where I started to stall in that is that Legend of Grimrock, with its like real-time sort of strategy where things are constantly moving around, whether or not you move, things are moving around.
Yep. That's very Eye of the Beholder as well.
It eventually turns into a sidestepping game where you're constantly dodging sideways and attacking as best as you can. And, you know, if you get really good at that, you could beat the game, right? And I got to the point where I was just fumbling with the controls all the time, and I don't know. We'll see.
I got excessively good at dying to snails.
Oh, good. Yeah, the snails are pretty. I forgot about the snails. It's like the early game slimes, you know?
Strangely enough, there's actually a raid encounter in WoW that has slimes that can kill you in one hit.
True. So,
Actually, yeah. Since I hit that roadblock with Ultima 3 and got to the stage where it's like, oh, okay, I drifted off onto again another new older release, which was, I think, I'm not sure if it happened around
new older release. I love that.
Yeah. It may have happened around the same time, but Might and Magic 1, which released in 1986.
Yeah.
The controls very, very similar. The mechanics very, very similar, using the majority of your keyboard for basically selecting choices here or there, whether you want to cast a spell, attack, or what have you. And also maintained you needed a reference card to cast spells. They didn't.
Oh yeah.
That was the other thing with the
I was going to talk about that.
You needed a reference card just so you could know your spells. After a little while, in Might and Magic 1, I actually started to remember the spells and the combination numbers that you most commonly cast.
Yeah. I watched someone's YouTube video sort of explaining Ultima 3 deeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God, this guy, he knew everything about the game, but the names of some of the spells are just insane. It's like somebody just let their cat just walk across the keyboard, and that's the name of the spell. It's like Zimmerler. It's like the ultimate spell of destruction or something.
Mm-hmm.
I caught some of that. I was watching Spoonie's retrospective. He did a retrospective of the entire series of Ultima, including the really bad ones at the end.
So, the thing that I knew, since I grew up, God, I'll admit it, I grew up on an Apple house. On our Mac Classic now, I played. Actually, no, it was the Apple. I believe it was the first version of the Mac. We played. It was a Might and Magic 1 and 2 box set that has been released like after the fact. It was like after it already hit like critical mass, and then they did a 1 and 2 combo box. But it was on floppy disks. And then I remember when you downloaded Ultima, I remember you messaged me about how you were like, it's only 10 megabytes. I'm like, yeah, they just don't make them like that anymore. This whole game's 10 megabytes. I think we're gonna add in Draculetta here. Apparently, he has an itch, and we've tickled it.
We've spiked. I think it was his early childhood, maybe.
Oh yeah. This takes him back. This whole discussion. He's like, I want to talk.
I didn't really. I kind of missed a lot of it when I was really young. Like the Commodore 64 was a thing when I was a little kid. I didn't actually get this used once when I was a teenager. So we're talking like mid '90s.
Yeah.
Actually,
and then.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Saying there's this game I played, and then it's like I'm sure it's reminiscent of a lot of these older games, but it's basically there's no real GUI. It's just you typing, and then they give you like feedback back. It's like some game of some robots in a facility for Commodore, and they had to awaken them. I got a little ways into it, and they kept either giving up or like something having horrible something happen because it's like, oh, you do a thing, and all of a sudden bad things happen.
Yeah. I think when I looked at video online of the NES version of this, it looked like a much more pleasing version, so to speak. Like I really want to go back and play the NES version of it, but I think I'll play it on an emulator so I could do save states because oh my god. Yeah, okay, so my second playthrough, once I figured out how to actually make a character, I got four people up, had you in there as the female barbarian. You're welcome, Ray. And I walked in, I found Lord British, and I attacked him. And you know what? You could fight him right off the bat. I lost, but you can fight him if you want to. So welcome to the show. We got Draculetta in here.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hey,
now it's working.
There we go.
Hey, I got it working. Yes, this is my childhood.
Put the lime in the coconut, then shake it all about.
And he called the doctor.
Yeah, I spent so much time playing this game.
Really?
During my childhood. Yeah, on my Commodore 64.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was a Commodore kid.
Commodore kid.
I think
Started
that was
out on the VIC-20.
You even got to the VIC-20. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I started on the VIC-20 and then moved up to the 64.
Didn't you love the tape drives?
Oh yeah.
Kids have no idea.
That's right.
They just have no idea that you can save your game on a cassette tape.
Load, quotation mark, comma, star.
And when it didn't
and
load,
then wait about 30 minutes.
Or if you got halfway through the load and it crashed for whatever reason, you get out your alcohol and the cotton buzz. You give that tape player a good clean because you knew that you'd be using that tape player so often. There's so much build up on it.
Hang on, guys. Hang on. Mom, I'm on the phone. Or I'm using the internet. Come on. That'll take you back. Okay. So did you play the entire 1, 2, and 3 up to the point? Like, were you an avid fan and waiting for Lord British to drop the next game?
Yes, I was actually.
So I didn't do this research, but I just now recall this. I remember Lord British was a dude that actually called himself Lord British, right?
Mm-hmm.
Richard Garriott.
Yeah. And he was famous for going around all these little, computer conventions and it was oh my God, Lord British is here. He was he was like a rock star before there was such a thing as programmer rock stars. He was
exactly. Yeah.
He was the notch of the of the 80s. I do recall not even playing this game. I knew who he was back in the day. And I think it was because of early gaming magazines, computer magazines where they published code, which is another thing they just don't do these days.
Byte magazine, remember
Byte,
that?
Byte magazine, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite familiar with that one.
And
when we had our Commodore 64 in the mid-90s, there was a magazine cover from 84. It had a program in it, and the cover was Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right. I remember typing in. It was a program that was spread across 8 pages of a magazine, and after I finished typing it all in, letter for letter, character for character, it didn't run because there was a syntax error somewhere. And just that is the most crushing defeat of my childhood, with a computer. You're just somewhere there's a syntax error because my 10-year-old butt didn't know how to, hold the shift key and hit a colon at the end of or a semicolon or something,
Then you learn how to debug really early.
Basic doesn't debug. Oh no, it just says, nope, I'm not wrong.
I did one of those programs, and it turns out the program had a glitch where there was a line that was off center that threw the entire thing off. I think it was the Commodore version of Uno. And I actually went through and actually managed to mostly fix it myself.
Nice. Okay, so Drac, your nostalgic feelings on this game. Fire away.
Fire away. I have so many memories of playing. There was a group of my friends, there was 3 of us that played this game, and we were playing it together, but we were all in our own houses, so we were on the phone with each other.
Wow.
One of us actually was cutting edge and had 3-way calling back then.
Oh wow!
His dad had it for work or something.
He must have worked for the FBI or something.
So,
that didn't exist back then.
So he would call us, call me, and then he'd call my other friend, and then we would sit here and okay, so I'll do this, and maybe you guys do it another way, and then I won't save my game, and I'll just turn it off and start over if it works better for you, and It was crazy. We have all sorts of stories like that.
So in the DOS box GOG version, your choices are permanent. I did something, I tried to get out of that fight with Lord British, and I just killed the game, and then I reloaded it, and I was dead. Like
The-
instantaneously saves all your decisions.
The secret that we learned on the Commodore is you would, after a while, you would know when it was going to save, so you would just like pop the disc out,
Oh wow.
and then it would like error out then because it couldn't actually write to the game. So then you would just have to like restart from your last save point.
That's like
So,
a
yeah.
a professional pinball player, like nudging
Yeah,
the table
exactly.
just enough, you know.
It took us a while to figure out the exact moment when it was going to save, and it's like just pop the disc out and you're. Yeah, and another thing about the game too is I can't remember any other games before this actually requiring your characters to eat food.
Yeah, that is very true. I
Because
remember.
if you didn't eat food, you would actually kill yourself.
Yeah, it was almost like an early version of poison. Like you would just slowly die if you didn't have.
Yeah, and I can't remember any other games doing it. I mean, there might have been like another RPG type game that did that, but I never played one that did.
None of the NES era games had that.
Might and
know that for
Magic
a fact.
used food, but not in the sense that you you only need food as a requirement for resting. Which, if you couldn't rest, you couldn't gain back your spell points, hit points, or what have you. So, if you couldn't rest and you're out in the middle of nowhere, Might and Magic had a really brutal save system where you had to go back to an inn to save.
Wow.
That's so early RPG.
Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was like 6 years after these games even came out.
The other problem with that was that there was a chance when you used a certain tent that you could actually get like status effects and stuff, so you could actually lose characters while you sleep.
Nice. Yeah, wasn't Final Fantasy, that was like 91, I think? Somewhere around there.
I think it was a 6 or 7.
Was it? God, was it that early? Yeah, I guess it was. It's somebody else for a Wikipedia search. I hear typing.
No,
yeah, I personally was almost terrified of the Ultima games just because of their complexity. My friend would play it day and night, and he didn't look like he had gotten very far. But then I go home and I play Might and Magic 1, and you know, I made it several boards across the world when you're looking at the map, and I'm like, okay, I love this. I'm actually like, Might and Magic was the first game where I actually like busted out some graph paper. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, you had to do that for that game.
Whereas,
actually,
with Might and Magic, I think that's where I started my own brain training, because that sort of stuff you tended to start to memorize.
Yeah, I just didn't like think.
Released
it for fun, not for thinking.
Fun fact: Final Fantasy 1 release date was 1987 on the NES in Japan. Wow. I think it was. There you go.
Nice. The more you know. So, how far did you go into the series, Drac?
I want to say 5.
Because there's like Ultima, like 11 or something else on GOG.
Yeah.
And then there's like multiple spin-offs that don't even have numbers.
I'm pretty sure I did up to 5, and then by that time I actually had like a IBM PC clone, and then I jumped into like Ultima Online about the time of then. So I played Ultima Online for like a long time. That was like the first MMORPG I actually got seriously addicted to.
Nice. How similar was Ultima Online to the original single players?
It was reminiscent a lot, actually, especially in some of the dungeons and stuff. And then, of course, you know, all the like major cities and towns over there. So it was like cool to like actually go into like Scarborough and actually see other players there and not just NPCs. So, you know, that was The first time in Ultima Online, that was like, oh my god, there's actually people in Skybase. This is awesome. This is amazing. It'll never get better than this.
I can imagine the early MMOs also didn't have the serious level of cosmetics, so you didn't see too many like shirtless dwarves running around shooting off fireworks. The old days.
You saw a lot of the same person
the other day. I'm sure you did. The thing that I noticed that I had actually forgotten about until we got back into Ultima 3 was when I thought of the Ultima series, I kept reimagining I thought that they were all like a blend of like fantasy and sci-fi, because the first two that I remember playing had that weird like alien spaceship craziness to it.
I think you're thinking wizardry.
Yeah, I gotta say there was no sci-fi in Ultima.
Wasn't there?
No, it was all fantasy.
I thought the plot had something to do with like, I don't know. Maybe I'm racking my brain here.
The most sci-fi Ultima got was like the moon gates and like some of the later games to like jump from area to area.
Yeah,
and there was like
there
was like certain dungeons that you could only go to when like the moon was at like a specific point, because that would open up a specific moon gate.
Mm-hmm.
Now
I must have been playing Wizardry off guard or something, because I have that too.
Yeah, it was Wizardry. I think it was 7 and 8 that started bringing that in. Admittedly, I never got into the early Wizardry games myself. But
okay.
Yeah.
But of course, in classic plot twists of the early 80s, the boss of this, Exodus, apparently is the spin-off of the first two bosses. I guess they made love or something. So they were just like, a third one. But it sort of comes back as a spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't played this game from 1983. Apparently the Exodus, and I didn't get this far, a computer or an artificial intelligence that you kill via cards is the way I was led to believe. Is that right? Did you beat the game, Drac? Can you have any insight into this crazy plot?
Oh, I did beat it, but I don't remember. It was like a AI type. Well, they never really made it clear what exactly Exodus was. But I do remember
it's not the demon that's on the cover, because that's
right.
Not it.
No, it's not.
That's clickbait right there.
Very early clickbait.
You had to you got clues all throughout the game on how you had to defeat it. I do remember that. And it was like crazy, because it like pissed me off, because I hate puzzle like games. I don't do any puzzles at all in games. I'm just like, if I see a puzzle in a game, I'm like, screw it, I'm out, I'm done. Yeah.
And then it's not like you could just be like, oh, I'm at the final boss, hit save state. No, that didn't exist.
Or just like, well, just let me jump on Google and find out how to beat this. Yeah. Back then we were like screwed. Back in my day, you had to actually beat the game.
You had to call the Nintendo tip line.
Oh yeah,
exactly. For $3.99 a minute.
Get your parents' permission first, kids. So the final battle of this, literally, when I read it and I watched somebody do it on YouTube, or pieces of it on YouTube, I'm like, this is almost as crazy as like the original Nintendo Metal Gear fight. You get to the end and it's supposed to be like a nuclear computer, a nuclear tank computer or something, and it ends up just being you're blowing up a mainframe. You're like, seriously? That's the end? Like, it left people confused. There's a lot of harsh criticism about the ending of this game just because it was so weak.
I do remember you had to like get these magical like branding mark things, and then you had to go to like this fire island, and then you had to talk to like some Time Lord, and then he helped you like he set you to like this dungeon or something. That's all I remember. And it was like, what?
Not the same Time Lord as you're all thinking about. Yeah.
Just thinking back then, I'm like, what are you smoking, Gary? What are you on? But yeah, and I do remember this was like novel too. It seems like to me there was like, after you actually beat it, you heard the voice of Lord British in your head, and it said like report thy victory. And if you wrote them a letter, you would get a signed certificate from Lord British.
Oh my
I wonder if you
God.
can still do that.
I don't know. I never actually did it, but one of my friends did, and he actually still has that certificate. I'll see if I can get a hold
That
of
would
him.
be hilarious to try
Yeah.
to write into, I
Yeah,
guess, Origin Systems or whatever.
It's like, hey, I beat your game, man, and I was supposed to repeat. So where's my free stuff?
Well, you
My
still
Lord British autograph.
can't get a hold of Lord British. He's making an MMO called the Shroud of the Avatar,
There you go.
which I believe actually I got an email from that because I was involved with their Kickstarter in my Kickstarter phase, and apparently they're going through their final wipe of the beta, so that should be out soon for anybody who's interested in Avatar type goings on.
Which, yeah, that is, of course, an Ultima game that is not an Ultima game because he legally can't release an Ultima game.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
But it's an Ultima game from what I've seen of it.
Just not to be confused with Avatar or, Avatar.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We are not talking blue space aliens.
Or airbenders.
Fun fact, still haven't watched either of those. So let me go over some revolutionary things that it was for its time, right? Of course, it was boasted as revolutionary graphics for its time, but it was one of the first RPGs on a computer to display animated characters. You recall that? Like, very fine example. You go into the first castle, you're trying to walk up to talk to the Lord British, who, it's Lord British because there's a gigantic sign above his head that says British. And the whole time there's this little comical dude just jumping around the room like, woohoo, but it's like a stick figure. And you're like, the sad part is, despite everything being stick figures, you could tell that that's the jester, and you could tell which guy in your party is the cleric, and you could tell which guy is the wizard. Do you recall that, Drac?
Yeah, even with your mind filled in the blanks. Even with sorry, I'm bridging back to Might and Magic as well. That was your characters are just names.
yeah, and that's almost the same thing with the later series that we were bringing up, the Legends of Grimrock. It's just it's a sideways character portrait. You never actually see the main characters, so to speak. So in regular play, you're represented as a single player icon, and I literally mean a stick figure. And however, this is the first game that they had listed that actually, I'm guessing in the previous ones, maybe you could recall this, Drac. The previous ones, when you came across an enemy in the field, it was like you would sit there and knock blows, right? And this is the first one that sort of jumped to like a battle screen, correct?
Yes.
And the first time that happened, how blown was your mind?
Oh, I was like, what the crap is going on with this?
Was this before or after you really got into D&D?
About the same time.
Yeah, I could see this sort of breeding D&D.
Yeah, it was. I want to say this was before the. So I think I played this and then we jumped into D.
I think I drifted into D&D a little bit after some of that, to be honest.
Yeah, and ironically, my friend that played this game all the time, he was the one me into D&D.
It's a gateway drug, man.
It is.
Now, did Ultima have like the really weird old DRM? I know it was a game I played in the mid-90s called The Summoning. It was like an old 286 computer. And every time you load the game up, you had to like go to the book and go to a page number and write down a bunch of symbols.
The DRM. It might have. Do you recall that?
Yeah, no, it didn't have. The first game I remember actually having that was Wasteland.
Wow.
I know Wasteland for sure had that, and it seems like actually no, I take that back. Some of the gold box games from SSI, the D&D games, Secrets of Silver Blades had that. Yeah, actually had to go to a certain page and type in a certain like a certain word out of a sentence. They would say, you know, like go to page 20 in the book and type in the 5th word in the 4th paragraph.
Who keeps manuals?
Yeah, exactly. And then the other games in that series had like a wheel that you would have to like
the code wheel. Oh my god!
Yeah,
I
the code wheel is and we actually, not that I'm condoning doing this, kids. Do not do this. This is bad. We actually figured out we could like photocopy that and like cut that out and like go to like the store and buy these little like things that would go and hold it together, and then we
steal those from school.
We maybe possibly copied each other's copies of some of these games back then. Maybe, not that I'm condoning that.
Lord British is sad.
I just made Lord British cry. We were kids, man. We can afford these games. Once again, don't do that. That's bad.
Yeah.
Piracy is bad, kids. You'll get scurvy and all that.
So one mistake I made right off the bat was I started playing it solo, or I tried to. So it's a 4-player party, but you have a choice between 11 classes, and apparently you could switch people in and out of the class in and out of the party at any time. How much of that did you actually end up doing, Drac?
I can't remember doing that at all, but
because the way they led it to believe was like you get into a dungeon and it's all trapped, and be like, crap, we need a thief. So you go back to town, you save, you pop out of the game, dump out, the paladin, enter in a thief, then go back to the, it's like takes off right where the game, stops. But of course, it's like super hardcore mode. So if someone dies, they're dead. Like there's no reviving them that I could see.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, it was basically permadeath, but I don't remember like swapping characters out. But I'm sure we probably did.
Yeah, but the only way you could swap them out, of course, is on the screen, which
of course,
on the GOG version with the DOS box, you practically have to like, it's bad. You have to like task manager close the game all the time. It shows 11 classes: fighter, paladin, cleric, wizard, ranger, thief, barbarian, lark, whatever the hell that is, illusionist, druid, and alchemist. And then, of course, there was 5 races. And they only had 4 of the main stats. It was strength, dexterity, intelligence, and wisdom. So each class had basically a fine spot between those 4 stats. No charisma, unfortunately. So we didn't have the pentagon of class stats there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just browsing this article, just picking out fun stuff. Put some filler in, Drac.
I do remember that the dungeons in this game were like crazy super hard. Because unlike the previous 2 in the series, the level of the dungeon was not the same as your level. Mm-hmm. So the deeper you went into the dungeon, the higher the monsters got.
Nice.
So if you got too excited and maybe, I'll go down to the 4th level, because each dungeon, I want to say, had like 9 levels. I think 8 levels. And if you got cocky and just started going down and down and down, you could be like level 4 and you'd be up against like level 8 things. And you were just dead. It was like done. I remember that because it seems like the dungeons in the first 2 were not this hard. And it seems like too, the dungeons in this one actually had like a semi 3D appearance. The other ones were like all, I guess the term would be wireframe. And these had actually, it wasn't like in 3D in your eyes, but you were actually walking down and you could like see the walls on the side of you, or see the trap in front of you, which was at that time, that was another thing that kind of like blew our mind. We're like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah, if I'm correct, wasn't Ray, wasn't Might Magic? It was almost pure those 3D dungeons, basically. Even the overworld was like
even the overworld, yeah.
Yeah,
there
was no
back
like overworld map.
No, you can actually go and resource these sort of things. I think even with Might and Magic 2's, the overworld map, I don't remember like mapping out on graph paper as much, but you really needed the map that was supplied with the game, because that had map references on it as well, and you could cast location
and coordinates.
Yeah. And then you could basically find out like where a road was. Okay, you cast your location spell, and it's like, okay, I'm in like C1, and then you look on the actual hard copy map. There's C1 there. Okay, I'm roughly around there. There might be a road like south, so I'm going to go due south until I hit this road. Then I'm right again. It was way too easy to get lost.
Oh yeah. So in Ultima 3, it's hilarious because you look at the map, and apparently the map was an actual cloth map that they used to actually include in the box.
Which I still have, believe it or not.
Awesome. But in when you get it on GOG, they just give you a PDF of it. But when you look at it on the PDF version, you're like, okay, like there's no mark, there's nothing on it. It's the vaguest map in the world. So then you're like, okay, this is going to take forever to get across this. So you go out into the world, and you could walk almost completely across the map at level 1. You know,
if you're lucky.
Like, yeah, I was like trying to get to the town in the middle, because I read somewhere that there's a town somewhere in the middle that you could just walk in and start slaughtering everybody to get experience. And I'm like, okay, let's go do that. Let's go kill guards, right? And I couldn't figure out how to get in there because, of course, you know, to get in there, you got to use one of those weird moon gates. But I circled the entire center of the map without ever touching anything, without fighting a single thing. And I'm like, is this really the game? Like if this was Dragon Warrior, I would have been in my 18th battle, you know, with like ghosts, you know. I would have been killed by a wizard or a Magidrake. That's how far I traveled from the castle, you know.
Yeah, Might and Magic is a little bit more ruthless in the overworld as well.
Mm-hmm. And if it's Final Fantasy, it probably would have been like 40 battles.
Might and Magic it's ruthless even in the first town. Like there's some bad parts of town you can go into.
Don't go in the sewers, kids. Not at level 1.
Very reminiscent of walking through Breathe the first time in Lord of the Rings. You're just like, oh, hey, oh my god, I'm being attacked. Good times. So it says here that some of the commands you could use on the townspeople is, of course, talk, bribe, steal, and fight. I never even realized you could steal from them. Maybe it's because I didn't have a thief with me, but I do remember attacking a lot of townspeople just to see if I could, and you can. You could punch that jester right in the face.
And many people have over and over and over.
Yeah, and even right here in this article is, fight Lord British, but he cannot be killed, thus resulting in a long drawn-out fight that the player will ultimately lose. I'll vouch for that. So this game also featured travel stuff, early game travel stuff, like you had a boat. Do you recall anything else that you had? Because
I want to say it was like crazy expensive, but you could like buy horses in like some towns.
Okay.
But it was like super crazy expensive. I mean, I want to say it was like 1,000 gold or something. Which,
like hobby horse prices.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, but the advantage of that, if I remember, is if you were on your horse, you didn't need to eat as much food.
Correct.
Because you weren't like running or walking, so you weren't, you know, in theory, using as much of your energy, so you didn't have to eat as. So if you were like low on your rations or your food, you could just like hop on a horse and that would save you. And the boats,
Look at my horse. My horse is amazing.
The boats, I'm on a boat, y'all. The boats, I remember, there was like pirates that would come and attack you.
Of course there was.
You could actually, of course, because pirates make everything better. You could actually, if you were good enough, you could defeat the pirates and like steal their ship. And their ship was like awesome. It was like the best boat ever. And you needed that boat to get to like the end of the game. You had to go to like the underworld. And the boat was the only way to get to the underworld.
You had to intentionally steer your boat into the world.
Yes.
Which seems like pure death, but
Yeah, exactly.
this is Ultima.
Of course. Once again, what was Garriott smoking back then? But we won't discuss that.
That's what a hero would do. Oh, good times. So I definitely want to go back and play this on NES for one huge reason, right? Not only is the graphics all, colorful and happy, right? Green grass instead of just black death everywhere. On the NES, since you're restricted by a controller, when you hit the A or the B button, it pulls up a list of commands that you could actually use, right? So you don't have to sit there and just guess at what the hell I'm supposed to be doing all the time. Does that make sense? Is that too cheaty, or do you think that it still stays within the spirit of the game, right? Where it shows you all of the commands that you can use.
I would have killed for that back on the Commodore 64.
I know.
Like, less having to remember crap.
Yeah, because there's some horrible... here, I'm going to put this in our chat right here. Check out that picture. It's beautiful. I'll put it in the chat for the people in the live room. Look at that beautiful picture. Look at all those commands you could use. It's beautiful. It even shows which direction you're traveling and what the sun or the moon phase is. It's beautiful.
That's leagues above the DOS version.
It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not stick figures. I'm like, I would totally play this. Like, so that I think that's where we're gonna end this. The Ultima side. It appears that some of the later ports, sort of liven up the game, but unless you're just old school, like Drac, no offense.
Get off my lawn.
Who hates Pokemon and people playing Pokemon. Allegedly. Then maybe the GOG version isn't for you. Maybe. But it is ridiculously tiny and it's always on sale. So if you want to just experience it, I think you could pick it up for like $1 at some points, and it would fit on like almost anything made today. It's 10 megabyte download for the entire executable game. So yeah, they just don't do that anymore.
Games with that are actually megabytes big is like
it's mind-blowing, isn't it?
This is a megabyte you speak of.
What did I do with disc 7? Damn it. The whole game is ruined.
I think one of the Windows installs I had was like 20 or 30 discs.
That sounds right.
Or turn the disc over.
Oh God.
Well, these were the 1.44s. These weren't the big ones. These were the smaller ones.
The non-floppy floppies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's good times. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Might and Magic, because apparently you were a little bit more passionate about that one, Ray.
Yeah.
So obviously, you got to the point where you hit the wall in Ultima, which for me was trying to kill that goddamn jester. He just keeps moving around. He was killing my frame rate of 1,000 frames per second because the game is that basic. he dropped it to like 999 frames per second.
Ooh.
Yeah, ooh. God, could DOS actually run that fast? If you think about it, like, I don't know, whatever. You switch over to Might and Magic 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much more fun was Might and Magic 1 versus your experience, like, sort of reliving Lord British's expertise?
Honestly, the actual the party makeup and the mechanics of Might and Magic was more to my I suppose style, what I remember, and of course getting back into that sort of thing took a little time, but yeah, the whole like the party mechanic structure and the combat structure was more turn based to what I'm kind of used to, rather than the real time stuff that was in Ultima.
Yeah, I don't recall. Sorry, I was stretching to get another Guinness. Don't mind me. I don't recall the Might and Magic. Yeah, the Might and Magic. It was roguelike in the sense that if you stopped moving, the game paused for the most part. Correct.
Absolutely.
Whereas in the Ultima series, things would keep moving around.
I mean, yeah, sure, you'd be able to, like, you'd stop in like when a combat happened in Ultima 3, but yeah, Might and Magic, everything pretty much stopped when you did. And also, yeah, as I said, the combat is like very, very turn based, and something that I suppose I could basically streamline my head around.
Yeah. And I know personally, like, while I love the overworld feel of the Ultima, what they were sort of aiming at, graphically, just, oh my God, when I saw it, it was mind blowing, but it just didn't capture me until I got into the later, like, NES Dragon Warrior, where the overworld was like a big colorful landscape,
Yeah.
like, oh yes, I want to see what's over that next hill. And it was always death, but
admittedly, with Might and Magic 1, yes, you're still restricted to the same 3 or 4 different colors, but the kind of like semi 3D world that you slid around in, let's not beat around the bush there, you that's what you did. You got more of a feel of kind of like being there and being in that space and getting lost for the first few hours, and then after a while the muscle memory starts to come back. It's like, oh yeah, I know that corridor, I know what that part of the town looks like, I take a left here and I'll get to where I need to go. The save system with Might and Magic was actually, it has got me a little ragey at points where I'd ranged out a little bit further than I did from the tavern, and I thought I was getting a little cocky. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm getting a bit of experience, a little bit more gold, and then I had a total party wipe, and you start back at the tavern where you last saved the game. So it's like, oh, so close the game down and went and do something else.
But you started back at the save, where you save your game. It wasn't like party wipe, you're dead, game over.
No. Although if one of your characters in the party died, more often than not, the rest of your party will die, and then it is start over.
Oh yeah, it was a steamroller effect. One goes, they all go.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of you can bite off a lot more than you can chew, especially at level 1.
I remember playing these as a kid, and just my early adolescence. I was middle school, right? I remember seeing game mechanics like thieves and stealing, and I'm like, I just couldn't ever play as one of those characters. Like, I would always just do straight up like fighter or cleric. I couldn't even get into the wizardry, the magic too much. But it wasn't until, just later in life when I realized, I was like, okay, a thief just isn't just stealing all the time. They have very specific things about, disarming traps and backstabbing and stuff like that.
I think a lot of my struggling to think of the word now. my concepts of what fantasy tropes basically were actually developed from reading the Dragonlance series.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
That was actually what I think it was a little bit. It was around about the same time I got involved with Dungeons and Dragons. So that actually really cemented what a fighter was, and just that that series, that book series, like the thieves, etc. I mean, Kenders weren't really thieves, but they just had the knack of misappropriating things.
yeah, misappropriating. I definitely recall in middle school when somebody was like, "Dude, you got to read this," and he hands me a copy of The Hobbit. I'm like, "What the hell is this?" And then
actually, The Hobbit
that was a gateway drug. But closely after that, my friend who had Ultima was like, "Oh, you love The Hobbit, you'll love this," and he gave me the Dragonlance. He gave me the Dragonlance series. He's like, "Oh, this is like so much deeper." I'm like, "Okay," you know. And then he's like, "If you like that, come over. We'll play. We'll actually play D&D." And I'm like, "Okay," you know.
Yeah,
Dracula
actually,
is silent. He's crying right now.
That's right.
He's remembering his youth.
Actually, speaking of The Hobbit being a gateway drug, my ninth year of my ninth year of schooling, that was my English teacher's book report. That was my first fantasy book pretty much ever. And that was a slippery slope that delved into Lord of the Rings, which at the time, the school's library, they had all the books. Yet I got through Fellowship of the Ring and I devoured that so quickly, and I looked for The Two Towers. The Two Towers wasn't out. It was out. Wow. Someone else is reading it. But
somebody had it.
Somebody else had it, but Return of the King...
How old are you? No.
Yeah. I was about to say, what? It wasn't even out yet.
Nah. It
you
hadn't
been really young for your age.
Thank you. It hadn't been returned as yet, so I actually borrowed the Return of the King and read them out of sequence.
Oh.
So when Two Towers came back, I pretty much got the Two Towers back, and it was a little bit of a disjointed read, but I managed it nonetheless.
You were all kinds of confused. It's like, wait, that dude, spoiler alert, that dude's king. No, he's not yet. What? I'm confused.
Oh, he's going to die.
Yeah.
The whole chase between getting the hobbits, like saving the hobbits from the orcs and getting to Isengard bit, it was actually in the Two Towers, it was very irrelevant to the Return of the King. It was all sort of disjointed like things there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I used to do that with Star Trek books. He did 3 books. He did the Return, Ashes of Eden, which actually came first, and then the Avenger. I read them Avenger and then Return, and never actually read the first book.
Nice. Well, in Star Trek, you could be like, they went back in time through a wormhole.
Hello, the thing with this is that they keep referencing stuff that I didn't see in the first book, because the first book's supposed to explain what happens to the Enterprise A. Apparently gets destroyed. They keep referencing it in the Return and the Avenger. It's like, so they're referencing all this stuff I have not heard before.
Okay.
I'm never going to forget the story, Ray.
I'm not either. That's the best ever.
I'm guilty apparently of spoiling the end of the Lord of the Rings to my friend. I didn't realize we were watching the movies, and I thought he had watched all of them. They had been out for a couple.
No.
He had been out. They'd been out for a couple years, and I thought he had read the books and everything. And we were like, it was like one long drinking day at his house, and we were like halfway through the Two Towers, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna miss that finger, And my friend's like, what? I'm like, when Gollum bites it off and they fall in the fire. And he's like, what? And he paused it, and he's like, did you just ruin the ending? Oh, those are good times. That takes me back. And then he went into the army. So, good times. So, are we gonna have to do like a serious playthrough of the Might and Magic, or should we like jump to another fantastically old game? Because I know eventually at some point I want to cover Baldur's Gate, and Neverwinter Nights.
Bard's
Those are
Tale.
some great Bard's Tale. Okay, we could do Bard's.
Yes.
I played Bard's Tale. Like I played an hour of it on my iPad. I want to say it was like my toilet game of the week, you know. But so I'll go find it on PC or something, and I'll give it a serious play. Okay.
I'm just trying to remember which Bard's Tale I actually did start on. I believe it's actually Bard's Tale 3. It's the game that I remember.
Does GOG have Bard's Tale?
Yeah, it does.
They gotta have that.
Yeah, it was definitely Bard's Tale 3 that I remember.
You do know that they're working on a new Bard's Tale.
Really?
Yeah, there was a Kickstarter, I want to say late last year, that did successfully kickstart. So yeah, they are going to. Yep, they're going to reboot the series, and it's going to go back to the originals.
It's
well,
under
good
Bard's
because
Tale, the.
Yeah, as long as it's not the other Bard's Tale that they came out with later.
Oh god,
on.
that game sucked so bad. Oh, that game was so horrible.
So this one looks like it legitimately has like nice graphics, you know, on top of other stuff, you know. So
yeah, Bard's Tale was another one of those games.
It sort of
hours of my life.
switches back and forth between colorful graphics and, you know, textual screens.
Oh yeah.
Nope.
I think they had a little bit more explanation on their spells and stuff as well, from recollection.
This must be good. It's $9.99.
Ooh.
Now I remember the Bard's Tale. He was sort of like he was like a sarcastic. Like he had a little quips for everything. Is that correct? Is that the game I'm thinking of?
Yeah,
That's
that was
the horrible piece of crap one you're thinking of.
Yep.
Okay.
It's horrible. Trust me. Don't even install. Don't even think about installing it. Just run so far the other way. If that's like if somebody says, "Here, install this game. It's fun." No, it's not.
Okay.
Bad. It's evil. Go away. Power of Christ compels you to go away.
The power of Christ compels you.
Yeah, it was bad, dude. It was really bad.
You know, we should get into Planescape Torment because the Kickstarter for the sequel-ish is going to be released soon, I think. Have you guys Torment? Did you guys follow that on Kickstarter?
I didn't follow it to Kickstarter, but I have played the game.
It's Torment Tides of Numeria, I think is the new one that they're releasing, but it's supposed to be the spiritual successor to Planescape Torment. With the floating skull named Morty, what could not be loved about it?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the days. Okay, so I think we've rubbed this into the ground in a good way.
Yep.
We've all established that some games don't hold up, but maybe like with that NES version, I'm gonna give it a good solid try. We're gonna see what happens. Let's go into the finding time to grind. So we got apparently we have 2 extra guest hosts this week. So Sapopa. Did I say that right? What are you playing this week? What's your games?
Mostly Starbound and World of Warcraft.
Starbound.
Oh, that released, didn't it?
Too. Yes, I bought it. I'm so confused by that game.
I've got over 20 hours in since the update.
So how are you finding it?
Aside from the lag, which is mostly just my CPU getting stupid hot, I'm enjoying it. Some of the progression, there's only one minor really annoyance I have, is that there's a quest you get very early on that even in the 4th tier of armor, I can't seem to beat.
Yeah, I started playing that. Mind you, I'm only like 2 hours into it, and coming from being okay at Terraria, I sort of expected the same thing, but with like a sci-fi twist. But it is just brutal. Like when you don't know knowing nothing about the game, jumping into it, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll just build a cute little hut. Oh God, I'm being attacked like instantaneously. It's nighttime and things are invading, and I'm like, I died so much, and then
They
I
made
don't
a
know.
couple of changes. I don't know if I necessarily agree with. Like getting fuel now is very dangerous, and it wasn't like that before the update.
Yeah.
And I think that the normal mode is a little too punishing. Like I can expect losing the ore and valuable materials, but why do I lose my healing items whenever I die in normal mode?
Yeah. I ended up turning it down to like complete wussy settings. And I'm enjoying a little bit better. I bought a copy for my sons, and we've been trying to play multiplayer on a server that I'm hosting off my own computer, and they're just not like, I'm not good at this game, and they're really not good at that game because they're like 6 and 8. So lots of death, lots of respawning, lots of beaming back down to planets. You play anything else?
There's a few. I occasionally dabble in Minecraft. I just haven't been playing as much of that lately.
You're in good people here. So what are you playing this week, Drac?
I haven't actually been playing a lot because I am getting ready to go to Gen Con to cover that for DDO players.
Shun the non-believer! Shun!
That's right. I have been playing, of course, a lot of Dungeons & Dragons Online because do a podcast and you have a site about it, you kind of have to play it a lot. That's my excuse, at least. So I've been playing that, and I did actually jump in to Darkest Dungeons again. I kind of quit playing that for a while. So I did play that for a while, and actually got my ass kicked, which it should be. That game is brutally hard. Oh my god, that game is hard.
Well, they don't call it the shaded dungeons. No, it's the darkest dungeons.
Right. And really, that's about it. Like I said, I've been kind of busy getting to leave all next week.
So you're going to run into your girl at Gen Con? Is she going to be there?
She is not. I was disappointed. I was hoping.
Miss Felicia Day.
Of course, actually, I'm kind of wondering if that restraint is still in effect. Might be. Maybe it's a good thing she's not going to be there. I kid. I joke. Joke, people.
I just like
people that didn't hear the Gen Con story won't actually.
Yeah, you got to go back
really
and listen
funny.
to the Gen Con story. Where was you've done it on multiple podcasts?
No, actually, the only one I've done it on is Guild Wars Players.
Oh yeah, that's
which
right.
I don't even know if it's still available.
I think they're still there.
But I don't remember what episode it was. I will look it up and I can tell you and add it to your show. Because I can't remember what episode it was. But yeah, I've only ever done that story once, and it was on there.
So the too long did not read version, he actually ran into Felicia Day. Literally.
Literally ran into her.
So Ray, what
best day of my life.
Don't ruin this moment.
Doesn't it have the fun of the cons, meeting people, running into people like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the few cons I've been to, I just tried to not touch anything. Just like, ugh.
I haven't been to any ever, so.
What are you playing this week, Ray?
This week coming up or the week just gone?
Sure.
Okay.
It's our show. Make it up.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I suppose I'll probably be playing a little bit more Dragon Age Inquisition. I actually went and bought that for a very cheap price of 28 Australian dollars, which is pretty damn cheap in anybody's book. A game that, while it looks really, really great on PC, you really need a controller to play it because it's been developed for consoles, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It controls a lot better with a controller, mind you. But anyway, probably more Minecraft. That's going to be happening at some point this weekend. Well, it has to happen some point this weekend because I have to keep my YouTube channel going. You can find that at youtube.com/Raetac Rages.
Shameless plug alarm. Keep going.
Let me see what else. I'm just looking at my myriad of shortcuts on my messy desktop. That's right. Going to be playing a little bit more Subnautica as well. Of course, there's also something going on to the YouTube channel.
Watching you get attacked by those piranhas was hilarious. You're just like, you're sitting there trying to build a base. You're like, what is biting me? You just keep turning around. Leave me alone.
It's enough to be annoying, but not enough to actually be a serious threat. It's just like,
I know. It was like watching somebody just get ate by mosquitoes. That was some good YouTube right there.
Apart from that, I'll be doing a little bit more playing Ark, actually. Playing Ark Survival Evolved on the quote-unquote community server that is run through myself for viewers and anybody else in my friends group who wishes to join. Feel free. If you'd like to also join in on the Ark, I don't know, send the XPQuest an email and we'll get in touch.
I should really edit.
Drag your butt in there.
I should really edit last week's episode and release that.
I plan on joining the Ark stuff if I ever get a better machine. Right now, my machine just takes half an hour to load the game.
Oh, yeah, Ark is brutal on your video card. I'll warn you about that.
Well, I'm also using a 6-year-old laptop, so.
Oh yeah, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You want to melt that thing? Ark's your game.
This heat, the way we're having around here lately, I have a feeling WoW could probably melt it. It's crashed on me twice today.
Apart from that, there's no other plans. Actually, no, I tell a lie. I was approached by a community manager of the game called Chromagun with a key, and I installed that game, and it looks quite interesting. It's a pretty much. I wouldn't say it's a spiritual successor to Portal, but it runs very much along the same kind of mechanics, but not quite.
Nice.
So I'll be probably putting a review up there on the my YouTube channel as well at some point or another.
Remind me when we're offline to tell you the perks about having a podcast.
Okay.
We get a lot of free keys.
It's awesome, isn't it? I mean,
It's
what are you
awesome.
talking about?
I didn't pay for Guild Wars 2 at all. The entire thing, end to end, with the expansion.
I actually regret paying for Guild Wars 2.
Oh
No, I put time into it,
snap.
but the problem is that unless you pre-ordered the expansion and you bought it after a certain date, the only way to get the refund on some of the cash was if you pre-ordered the expansion. I didn't get a chance to do that, so basically I'm spending $50 when I already own part of the game because I bought the base game.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, the last episode of Guild Wars Players that we did, we discussed that in detail. I
would be more inclined if it was like $20 by the expansion. I would be right on top of that. But at $50, I'm not. No amount of in-game items are going to make up for that.
The Guild Wars shenanigans, as we called them. Actually, I think it was like the first episode of XPQuest, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually
yeah.
it was. Yeah.
with guest host Draculetta.
Yeah. Another podcast you wrote me into.
I mean, not like WoW.
My own.
I mean, not like WoW charging $50 for Legion, but new players don't got to spend that much money. It's if you go into the game now, a month for the next expansion, you pre-order the expansion, you're paying $70 total, $20 for everything that's up to current, and then $50 for the new stuff, which isn't really that bad.
It pays to wait, man. I'm telling you. I'm never even in like Lord of the Rings. I am unbelievably behind the current, thing. So if they dropped Moria like tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, I'll get there next year, And by then it's on a Steam sale for like $20, and I don't feel bad for not, being up to current.
I've played WoW for like 9 years, but it doesn't really bug me that much. But if the same amount, my girlfriend did the WoW, we only got to pay $20 to get her caught up to the content that's current for another month.
Yeah, you played WoW extensively, didn't you, Ray?
Yep. To a bit of a detriment. So yeah, that's a sore point.
It's a sore point. Okay, we'll drop it. What I was grinding on this week, of course, Ultima 3 for maybe about 2 hours. I'll be realistic here. I did bust out some BioShock. I had to go back to Rapture and just shoot some crazy people in the face. It's just like I had to do it. And then of course I played Starbound for a few hours with my son, and the jury's still out on that one. It seems exciting. I just think I need to get over this like beginning hump. And then of course we were playing just a lot of Minecraft offline, and I'm actually getting to this point, Ray, where unless I'm playing a Minecraft pack that actually has an actual quest book, I almost just lose interest. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, I do understand that. Especially,
like I've hit a wall in that Skyblock, the extreme crazy Skyblock version that we were playing. Like I've hit a wall. I'm just like, I just don't care. You know, like
you have to have a motivation to get somewhere. That's basically what the quest book in any mod pack gives you, is like a goal to work towards.
Exactly. Even if it's ludicrous, you're just like, oh my god, how much?
There's a caveat with that though. I was not really enjoying them as much Minecraft. I ended up playing a whole bunch of HQM packs, and then I ended up playing Regrowth, which after a few months of that, I don't think I want to touch an HQM pack again for a long while.
Agrarian Skies 2. I made it about halfway through that. I made it to the end of Galactic Science. Wonderful pack. And then when I caught up to the beta version that they were releasing, like I actually went to go to the final place and there was nothing. So it was like I caught up to where they were still programming. So I'm like, I
enjoyed the science, but never finished it.
And then the one that I'm playing now is I'm sort of beta testing on these guys' servers that I knew from the old This Week in Minecraft days. And it's funny because like when I started testing this pack with them, there was like 5 or 6 people that were on all day, and then like the last few nights I've joined, I've been the only one on the server. So I'm thinking that even the people that are like beta testing this pack are like sort of like, I'm done with this. So something in my mind tells me that I just need to stop playing Minecraft. Does it make sense? Like I just need to just focus on games that can be beaten, you know, because I feel like I'm just building the same things over and over. How sad is that?
It's a little bit. I've actually been a bit of a creative rut myself. I wanted to build something cool on a friend's server I've been playing on, and it's like nothing comes to mind, so I just haven't logged in like a week or so. Probably because of Starbound.
Stupid Starbound, ruining everything.
Part Starbound, part the fact that it's been like 80, 90 here, and my computer is not like Minecraft in this heat.
There is that. So you mentioned something that I actually wanted to throw out as a discussion question real quick to the group here. Ray, you said that you thought that the Dragon Age is better playing with a controller because it was made for consoles. Do you think that that's the way that most Northern American RPGs are going to be aimed? Like they're going to be built for consoles and then sort of just ported over to PC?
Honestly, I believe that is going to be the case for a lot of Western developed games. Period. Because consoles are, let's face it, us PC elitists. There are not as many of us as there are of the people who own consoles. So it makes sense to develop for consoles. The sheer fact of actually picking up a controller was like totally foreign to me until I found a few games that actually I was able to teach myself how to use a controller. Going like, it's like, what's this thing? Like, it's an Xbox 360 controller, and I'm trying to figure out how to like the buttons and stuff, and how to get the actual coordination happening. Now it's actually as natural as anything, like using a mouse or even WASD or things like that. So it's just another extension of my PC now. But
True.
It's basically for developers not to. Well, basically they have to develop for consoles as well. They want to get to the largest, basically hit the largest portion of the market. They have to basically put something out for everybody.
In a perfect world, I like to see games support both and do it both properly. But there's a lot of games I noticed where some games the mouse and keyboard are way better than the controller, and obviously vice versa. Like Darksiders 1, mouse and keyboard controls are pretty bad. So I just use the controller with that.
I just don't see the classical monolithic RPG giants ever achieving anything close to what they came to on a console. You just can't really do Baldur's Gate on a console, right?
Baldur's Gate, no.
They achieved Diablo 3, right? But they sort of bastardized the entire game down to where you could do it on a console, right? But when you look at some of the just the classics, the old D&D stuff, even like this Ultima, right? You can never pull that off on truly on a console. Now, there's obviously the NES port. I'll give it a try. We'll see how it goes. But I just somehow, to my core, I just feel like all of the really good, time-lasting, deep RPGs are still always going to be on, PC or whatever,
Just pick up Diablo 3. Diablo 3 has this really weird distinction. There may not be any controller support for it, but if you have like a gaming mouse, you could basically use nothing but the mouse.
Yeah, see, I've only heard about Diablo 3. I've never actually played it.
I have all my skills bound to my mouse. The only thing I have bound but I don't actually use is the healing button, because it's easier to hit Q than it is to hit something on the mouse with my G600.
I mean, do they even really have that many good MMOs for consoles? Truly,
a lot of them actually come in the console. DC Universe Online's on a few of them. Neverwinter, I believe, is on the console now, and obviously Destiny, which is a pseudo MMO.
But they start out, of course, on PC. There's never like
Destiny.
All of the good MMOs start out on PCs that will run South Korea for the most part. But that's a joke aside.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it started other than Destiny, consider that an RPG.
I don't necessarily understand the Korean culture. Like the gaming culture over there is like you hear stories of people dying because they didn't bother getting up inside the cafes they were sitting on for like 24, 48 hours.
You gotta love South Korea.
Well, I guess this is a different thing too. Is I think more people have like home internet here in the States and like Australia than they do in like Korea. So they have those places where people just sit there and these little semi-social environments.
Yeah, yeah. There's really no such thing as just a PC store that you go to and you just rent internet. That just doesn't exist here. Actually, it's called the library. Actually, in my
yeah, exactly.
It's just people watching YouTube videos and stuff. Okay, so fun fact: my kids guilted me into playing Pokemon with them the other day. I put on Twitter that we went around, we drove out to some Pokestops, let them walk around, they hatched some eggs, and then they were like, "We want to go fight." And I'm like, "Okay, my kids are 8 and 6. I'm like, okay, well, your Pokemon suck, but yeah, sure, let's go to a gym." So I finally found a gym that wasn't their team, and it was at the library in our area. Our library here in Cincinnati, the library system is awesome. There's 29 branch libraries, and it's amazing. But we get there, and the first thing we jump out of the car, the kids are like, "Let's go in and get books." I'm like, "It's summertime, but okay, nerds. If you really want to go get books." So you know what? We went in there for like an hour. They were looking for books that they wanted to read. We're looking for like entry level, like first grade books, you know? And I'm like, God, my kids are nerds. We came here to play a video game, and they're out, you know, they want books.
Kind of the opposite. I can sit on my balcony and see the library, and I rarely go in there.
So half of our library is like audio and video, like DVD movies. I'm like, seriously? Like, when did like somehow half the library is like a blockbuster, right? And then the other half is good books. And of course, you know, my wife and I have been watching Game of Thrones on HBO, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go find the book. We're here at the library. I'm gonna go find Game of Thrones. Didn't have it, jerks. But they could order it for me, but it was sort of a letdown. The library failed me.
Even some of like the Star Wars books, Star Trek books, I even see less of those over there. Last time I was over there, I was like, we had to do something else on the second floor, so we went over and took a look. It was like, wow, there's almost no decent, good, recent sci-fi.
Yeah, I even, like, from back in the day, I remember that in the Cincinnati library system. I like went down to the main library, and they have just shelves of fantasy and science fiction, but it was just like obscure, like indie publishers and stuff. And I'm like,
That's on the bright side nowadays. If I want to order a book, which I actually did a few months ago, I can just go to Amazon. There's a whole bunch of paperbacks less than $10. I ordered a couple, two of the Christy Golden Warcraft books. They got Arthas and the Janie Pridemore one.
Yeah, I think sadly I'm more into the borrowing things from a Swedish website. So if it's digitalized, you can get it.
That's awesome.
I have a friend in Sweden that will get me anything. Let's put it that way.
I actually find it harder to read books on the computer, strangely enough.
See, that's the beauty of the iPad.
I was saying, that's what iPads are for.
That's literally the only thing I use my iPad. Besides the occasional porn, you know, machine. Let's be honest. Okay.
Anyway.
So speaking of porn machine, if you like XPQuest, you could support us on Patreon. We have I don't even know how many donators this week.
28.
Maybe you know 20. We have 28 donators.
We have 28.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, we have 28 donators in Patreon. We're rolling in the singles. We're totally sending people to Gen Con. That's how expensive we are.
Yeah. God,
if you'd like to support shows like on the Players Alliance Network, like XPQuest or DDO Players, go to our donation page where you can support the Players Alliance. And there are rewards out there, like a mention on our podcast of our choice. Shout out to you know who you are. That could have been your name. Or you could even be a guest on the XPQuest. But honestly, we're pretty flexible on this show.
Just take like, anybody.
Be like, I want to be a guest. And yeah, to be like, send me one beer. You'll be a guest. Okay. You can follow us all on Twitter at the Players Alliance is at Players Ally. XPQuest is, of course, at XPQuest. I'm at DJPimpDaddy, and you are at Raetac Rages. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can find his fantastic YouTube over at youtube.com/user/Raetac Rages. They recently changed their naming thing, didn't they? Like, you could actually change your name now easily.
Well, I can change my name, but I can't change the name of the URL on my channel, unfortunately. So
okay,
I am stuck with my oxymoron for the rest of eternity.
So, to our guest, Dracula, where can they find you? What's your thing? What's your beef?
You can find me at ddoplayers.com. Also on Twitter, if you want to follow me, it is at Draculetta_72. Because the person that has that Draculetta will not give it up and has never tweeted, but I digress.
The first 71 suck, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about you, Mystery Sapopa?
I have a Twitter with the same name on here, but that's about it. I haven't touched my Twitch in a very long time. My computer's not popping up the stream. Yeah,
it sounds if your computer's like melting just playing games, yeah, you're probably not Twitch streaming too much, right?
And any content I have on YouTube is so not worth watching that yeah.
I rendered this on my Texas.
It was like I think the last video was like 2 years ago that it was actually public. Actually, it was around the time I met Raetac. Actually, it was a friend's server I was playing on.
Nice. Of course, we got the Players Alliance live shows every month, 30 on the dot. You guys are very punctual. You have DDO players. I blame that on Pine Leaf, actually.
That's what I was just about to say.
We have listed every other Thursday at 9 p.m. ish. We have XPQuest, apparently, whatever that show is. And Ray and I actually been trying to do every Thursday now. But I'm going to be brutally honest. Next week, I'm going to be on vacation. I'm going to be in Wisconsin because it is August next week, and it is going to suck. And Wisconsin sounds like a lovely place to be in August. So it's much more north than where I am. It's about as far north as I could go without getting a passport, if that makes sense.
Hey.
That's right. I'm going to be drinking some local wine, eating some cheese curds, and watching the grass grow. The last Friday of every month, they have Lotro Academy on the same channel, and Saturdays at 8:30, the flagship Lotro Players News. And we haven't picked a next episode. Let's pick it now. What are we throwing down next episode? It's probably not going to be next week. It's going to be the week after that. Did we want to do Bard's Tale, like a specific Bard's Tale?
I mean, looking around actually at the specific Bard's Tales, and it's a little hard to actually get the older versions. You can actually get them as backup bonuses if you go and pledge for Bard's Tale 4, which I might consider doing actually. But apart from that,
do I need to check my Swedish sources?
Yeah. The only other way to probably get the game is via abandonware, which is not technically piracy, but
it's a gray area.
Well, this is XPQuest. We can do anything that had XP. So, like, you want to throw down like a SNES title or something, or
I don't know.
Battletoads. I challenge you.
Battletoads.
I have not played Battletoads.
So just toss the Final Fantasy games in there.
The Final Fantasy games are just, man.
Some of them are polarizing. I know 7's very polarizing. I think it's
a very
good, just not as good as 9.
As for Final Fantasy, I think I actually got that on Steam at one stage or another.
Not 9. I didn't have a chance to play much of it.
Final Fantasy 7.
So you're gonna make me play 7 finally.
Yeah,
I've owned it, but
okay.
I haven't played it out of spite.
Yes, I see that you do own the game, and I own the game, and we both have not played it. So yes, that's going to be the throwdown challenge for 2 weeks.
God damn it, we're playing Final Fantasy 7. Okay, that's next episode. I hate you.
I don't know how I might hate myself yet, but anyway. Hopefully the controller support's good.
This is like the game where some dude has a sword that's bigger than him, and one dude's arm is a gun or something like that. Is that correct?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Comments from the Peanut Gallery say pretty much. So let's go with that.
Actually, funny with that the dude with the machine gun arm is only the second most badass character in the game, in my opinion. The most badass being the pilot, Sid.
I'm thinking we need to invite him back for the Final Fantasy episode.
Quite possibly.
I haven't played through 7 in a while, but I've played through that several times back about mid 2000s, in the early 2000s.
Nice. Okay, so next episode, Final Fantasy 7. It's written in stone. It is moot. God help us.
Mm-hmm.
Join us next time. Any final thoughts from anybody?
All games were great.
All games are good.
Pro tip, if you go back to Ultima 3, you can drag the cannon from the dock into the castle and kill the British.
What? I know what I'm doing later. Because honestly, That guy needs to die. He's very snooty. His name is
Use
huge.
the
It's like
cannon.
Lord British. Like you walk in, you can't not tell that it's Lord British. Okay, we're gonna end this episode here. Everybody have a fantastic week. Everybody find time for the grind. Peace out.
Till next time.